Hello everyone, I'm Martin, product manager at Arturia.
And I'm Lily, and I'm part of the sound design team at Arturia.
So today we're going to present you a MiniFuse range, which is a new range from Arturia of audio interfaces, which we just released last week. So let me just take 2 minutes to present you the range and the 3 products that we have in the MiniFuse range. So it's MiniFuse 1, 2, and 4. We got MiniFuse 1, which is 1 input, 2 output audio interface, USB audio interface. We got MiniFuse 2, which is 2 input plus 2 output, and not mentioning the phones, but you also have phone output here. And on the MiniFuse 2, you got also MIDI I/O. And we have MiniFuse 4 here, which is a 4-channel input audio interface, 2 set of headphones, and 4-line output at the back, plus also the MIDI I/O at the back as well. So as you mentioned, you maybe notice on each of these, you have a USB MIDI hub. So it's a USB hub where you can connect any USB compatible devices. And these interfaces are using USB-C connection. Right, so these are fairly simple interface. Let's just focus a little bit on MiniFuse 2 here. We got 2 combo inputs. So these are suitable for microphone, guitar, line-in. We got a super cool preamp with a very pristine sound. I mean, the performances, I'm just going to talk about it in a few seconds, but on the gain point, you have 56 dB of gain. So it means you can really plug any kind of audio source. You have enough gain to really fulfill any need on your recording side. For example, it can be a really low-level instrument. It can be also low-level microphones, such as some Shure mic. You can also get a proper gain here. We have here at the front the volume control for your outputs. We got the monitoring here mix, which allows you to monitor input versus what's coming from the computer. We'll show that a bit later. And you got the headphone output as well. If you look at the back, we've got outputs here, line output to usually connect your speakers, MIDI I/O plus the hub I just mentioned.
And there's 2 hubs on the
2 hubs on MiniFuse 4.
Yeah.
One little point about this is that they support 250 milliampere of power.
Mm-hmm.
This is important to notice because these are bus-powered units, so you can connect them directly to your computer without the need of an external power supply. One thing also is that they are bus compliant, so you can literally plug and play into any computer to get your audio running here. About the performances, because this is something important, these are not, cheap sounding audio interface. We got, it's the same team that work on our AudioFuse range that we develop our own Discrete Pro preamp a few years back. So we have really good audio performances on the inputs. If we just go into figures just one moment, it's about 110 dB of dynamic range. It's minus 100 dB of THD. And it's almost flat from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. But that's enough about figures. Maybe we'll dig a bit more into how into this design. In a few moments. One really important thing is that when you going into the MiniFuse, you're not buying an interface. You're buying a system to make recordings.
Mm-hmm. It's like a starter pack.
Exactly, and that's super important. To be honest, actually, when you start making music on your computer, interface is not the glamorous side of it. It's something you need because you need to get your music into the computer. You need to listen to it.
Yeah, it's like purely technical.
Exactly, and usually it's about cables, it's about driver, it's about installing software or configuring stuff. So what we do with MiniFuse, and I think that's really a very important point, is we try to accompany the user just to get started, just to get making music as fast as possible. So we do that by having very simple product. In a way, it's easy to understand how it works. We do that also with some software we're going to go through in a minute. And we do that also with some what we call onboarding journey. So the first time you're going to plug your interface into your computer, we're going to accompany you just to set everything along the way until you're ready to go. So maybe we can have a quick look at that. Let me connect here.
The password. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So when you connect for the first time your MiniFuse here on the computer, what you actually get is a little pop-up with a link. You're just going to click on that link and you just arrive on this page you can see on the screen right now. So the idea of this journey, in a way, web journey, is just to embark you and help the user, and especially the beginner who, not necessarily aware about the driver and what you need to install. We accompany him with all the steps just to install the MiniFuse. So just have a look quickly. You go through there. So you're going to register your product. That's just so you can get access to all the included software. So mine is already registered. You're going to get able to install the MiniFuse Control Center. So MiniFuse Control Center is the software included with every MiniFuse that can allow you to configure the MiniFuse, access to some specific feature. It also allows you to install the driver, and also to keep your unit up to date with the latest version of the firmware. The firmware, by the way, is a small program inside the unit that create all the logic and the sound processing. So once you do that, you just go to the next step. Okay, is it working perfectly? If not, actually, you have here direct access to support, to fax, to tutorials, video tutorials. And then we're going to install the Arturia Software Center. So I didn't talk about the software included with the unit, so that's a good moment to do it. So that's one very differentiating point from any other audio interface. This is Arturia product. So we're providing a unique, exclusive software package with all MiniFuse. And that includes one of our best instruments. It's Analog Lab Intro. So Analog Lab brings, all the sounds of our synths collection within one software, which is actually really easy to use as well.
It's actually like handpicked around almost 600 sounds of all the V collection in one software.
Yeah. So how many instruments are there if we count all V collection instruments?
Is it 28?
Yeah, 28 instruments. So you get all, the knowledge and the variety of sound from Arturia as a software within Analog Lab, and this is included with every MiniFuse. And the other part of the Arturia exclusive package is we included 4 premium FX from our FX collection. So these are not freemium, these are not light edition of our software, these are full version of our stunning FX software. So we have a tape delay, and we'll show it a bit later. We have a plate reverb, we have a chorus from the Juno 6 synths, and we have a preamp from a famous British console. So here at this step, if we go back to the page here, you're going to install all that in just a few clicks. When it's done, you're just going to check it's working well. And then we get to additional music software. So not only you got Arturia software included, but we also partnership with some of the best brands in the industry to provide additional tools for making music. So the first one is Ableton Live Lite. So this is the latest version of Ableton Live. We're going to demonstrate it a bit later. It's a digital audio workstation. This is a software that enables you to record, to play, to edit, to mix your music within the computer with the MiniFuse connected to it. We got Guitar Rig from Native Instruments, our friends at Native Instruments. This is a superb software, probably one of the best software for guitar players. So if any of you guys are playing guitar or bass, Guitar Rig is a fantastic tool with a lot of amp simulation, FX, all around centered for the guitars. So this is included as well as a full license. And then we have 2 free subscription from our partners. So we got sounds from Splice. So Splice is a provider maybe the best sounds provider on the market. So you get hundreds and thousands of loops or original sound, and included with MiniFuse is like a 3 months free subscription. So you can get your sound, use them, and even if you don't renew at the end of the trial period, you keep the sound that you downloaded for the first 3 months. That's super cool. And last but not least, it's auto-tune. So any of you guys going into modern vocal production, I mean, auto-tune is like the reference. So
it can be used on other things even than vocals.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It either a correcting effect or it's also a creative effect.
Yeah.
And with Auto-Tune Unlimited, you get access to all the Auto-Tune products for 3 months as well. So that's about the software package. And if we pursue on our journey to just install everything. So again, you know, here I'm just having direct links to the download. I'm gonna download thing. I have specific video tutorial to help me set up everything. So really, in a matter of, you know, tens of minutes, it's all set and you're ready to go. And when you're done, you go to the final step here, which is a few things actually really interesting when you're beginning. The first of one is some tutorials that we provide. There's a lot of things. So how to make, you know, how to set up your interface, how to do specific tasks like recording vocals, recording guitars or synths, trying to help, again, the user with all this content. And a little surprise I keep for the end, which we also add, we can look at the end of this presentation. So here we go. So let's imagine now that, you know, we are all set. We have installed the MiniFuse softwares, all the package. We just connect the units. And what we want to demonstrate to you with Lily today is how to create a track. Let's make some music. Yeah. Because again, you know, if you're going into MiniFuse, you're gonna get one of the best interface at this price range. You know, it's maybe I can remind the price. I haven't done it so far. It's $99 for MiniFuse 1, $99 or euros. This one with 2 inputs is $149 or euros. And the MiniFuse 4, the price is not exactly defined, but it will be around $229, around this price. The one little thing before making music is MiniFuse 1 and MiniFuse 2 are available in October worldwide, and MiniFuse 4 will be available in 2022.
Okay.
Cool. Enough talking. Let's do music and start with that.
Yeah, so today we're going to open, so the DAW. Oh, okay, there's a problem with my mic, apparently.
Right, let me give you mine.
Alright, he has one.
Yeah, got one?
Yeah, let's try.
Sorry about that, that's live thing.
Maybe it's the battery. Let's see.
Right, so yeah, we're gonna, I mean, we're gonna go back to technical feature, and if you have questions, actually, we're gonna answer them at the end of the presentation. But we thought it would be interesting for MiniFuse product just to, you know, start making music and see how we can create. And the goal here, a little challenge today, is Lily is gonna create a track using only the included software. So it's
only the software bundle that we just talked about, the effects and live light and yeah.
So nothing else.
No.
So let's try.
Just the guitar.
Oh, maybe the guitar. All right, that's cool.
All right, so we're gonna open our DAW, which is Live Light 11. And here we have, so just one audio track to begin. And we're gonna open up Splice. I do this a lot for my grooves and my percussion. I use the Splice samples because there's really amazing loops in here. So
just to make sure everyone understands, once you register it as a Splice user using the MiniFuse bundle, you're gonna install the Splice application, which enables you to browse through the thousands of sounds, loops,
hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, so see, you can play them back here, for example. Yeah. And you have this little thing. Well, first you'll buy them with 1 credit, and then you download it, and it downloads physically onto your computer in the folder that you choose in the settings here. And so we're gonna let's go with groove like this one with a kick to start.
Cool.
And so once you download it, once you take it, you'll see this thing here, the squares, copy to clipboard, and it copies, and you can go directly back to live and paste it directly into your session like this.
Cool. So now we have our track, our basic.
Yeah, we just have to warp it and loop it. There we go. And I'm going to, okay, the BPM, I brought it down to around 100. And I'll just rename this groove. All right.
One little remark about Ableton Live is that also our friends at Ableton provide a lot of video tutorials. So if this feels a little bit complicated for you, do not worry. Yeah. Just log in on Ableton website, and we have a lot of content, great content just to help you understanding the basic for Ableton Live Lite.
And even before you go to a video or tutorial, you have a help window down here that you can open this panel. And when you hover over any kind of parameters in Live, it's going to explain to you what it does.
Cool.
At the bottom left, it's really helpful. So now that we have our starting groove, I'm gonna go and get the preamp that we talked about.
Yeah, so
the pre-1973, that's included in the bundle. And you can either double click it if you're selecting that track, or you drag and drop onto your audio or MIDI track.
Sure. So maybe I can just tell a word about this. So as I said, we worked hard on the preamps and the input of the MiniFuse interface. So you get this clean, crisp sound, very, very low noise. Actually, it's for the guys who know the figures, it's 129 dBu noise level. So that's super low. So when you get this clean sound, and that's what you want when you record audio, you want to capture the sound in its most integrity, in the best integrity you can, and then you can add effect to it. And this pre-1973 is great because it's a model we did from a famous British console. You may recognize the console by the design here. But it includes the preamp, so you can add some harmonic content, but you can also have this powerful EQ here.
Yeah, this is the EQ section, and we have a bunch of presets, and they have the names of the instruments or parts that they're made for. So here, I'm gonna, even though it's, for this groove, I'm gonna put boom kick, 808 boom kick, because you're gonna hear the difference when I play the loop without it. And then with it. Right. So it adds even like some crunch in the high, and then and a lot of body and presence in the low.
And when you're beginning, it's super cool just to get this, tons of preset in all the Arturia software. We're gonna show a bunch of these because it's a good starting point. You can adjust them, but it's always good to start with the basis when you're not sure how to use the product for beginning.
And this is already on the master channel, which is on the far right. But I put a limiter. This is a part of Ableton Live. Yeah. And this is going to help. There's a ceiling here. It's like a compressor, but a more extreme version where it's going to help to limit the dynamic range.
Protect your output.
Yeah, it's not going to saturate. Yeah. And it's a good way to keep your session, clean. Unsaturated, yeah. That's
one of the things I love with Ableton Live Lite is that you have tons also of plugins included within Ableton. So with our plugin, Arturia plugin, where really we're going to dig some sound signature, plus all the stock plugin from Ableton Live, you got enough tools to produce and mix any type of track.
So now that we have our groove, I'm going to create, so you just right click and you can create, a new track. So I'm going to include another audio track to add some percussion. So I go back to Splice. You can just, make a shortcut and open it here. And same thing, we listened to some different loops earlier. And this one doesn't have too much low end, so it's going to be good, complementary to the other one. So I copy it and paste it like the other one.
It's that easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. I'll rename it Perc for percussion. And then you just if you want to loop, you just need to warp it. It'll warp it to the BPM, but it's sensitive to the original audio.
Can you explain a little bit more what warp is doing? It's like adjusting so it's totally in sync? Or?
So Ableton Live has gotten way more advanced and does this job of warping way better than it used to. Whereas it's going to detect the groove even in an audio loop. And when you warp it, you can choose underneath whether it's beats, tones, textures, complex. If it's beats, then it's really going to help try to warp the groove to fit it on the grid. And it's very intuitive. It's way more intuitive than it used to be.
So in fact, whatever sound I gather, I can then adjust it automatically so it's going to fit, very precisely to my tempo.
And you can even click points to do it manually within the window, but we don't need it here because it's already well made.
Okay, cool.
So let's put this together.
Okay.
I'm gonna lower the pitch here by 2 semitones of the groove, and I just have to loop it. Loop the percussion. And maybe this is a good good moment to talk about the effects, because I want to add some space on the percussion. And so here, when we opened the session by default, there's the stock reverb and delay in Ableton. But today we can use the Arturia ones that come with the MiniFuse.
Okay. So
I can put the plate reverb on the first return. So a return track is different than a regular track because it's an effect. It's like a send that you can then choose the amount that goes into your track.
So I'm sending part of my track,
the signal,
to the effect. So it's going to be
sending the track to the effect. Yeah.
Okay. And that's where you need to put the effects at like full wet, I guess, if you're in a send mode like this.
Yeah. But I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna put I put the plate, and then I'm gonna put the tape delay on the second one.
Sure.
And
so I don't know, guys, if you recognize these two effects, because the plate 140 is a recreation we did from a famous play reverb. So a play reverb is basically like a big sheet of metal that you put vibration and transform the audio into vibration, and it get this really organic and lush reverb effect. And the tape 201 is also a recreation from the most famous tape delay. So you get a tape playing, the audio goes through, and you replay it with a bit of delay. So we recreate these two. And what I really like with these two effects, and that's why we've chosen to include them with the MiniFuse, is that they are first really easy to use. The sound is really unique. It's like a specific sound. It's not stock plugin in a way. And it can really infuse any type of track. I mean, it's useful for, you're going to show us where you use it, but it can apply to a lot of different sources.
And this tape delay also is very unique compared to the other ones, because you can do different rhythms on left and right. You can do offsets in stereo, so it's...
Yeah, that's the thing with every instrument or effects from Arturia. We always make sure we're going to enhance them to be, even better in the digital world. So, maybe the original unit has limitation because it was hardware, but with every Arturia instrument, with every Arturia effects, we are adding what we call sometimes advanced function or additional function, just to get more feature and bring more to the user compared to the original hardware unit.
So we'll play this, and I'm gonna add some reverb to the percussion. You can hear. It's more spacious.
Yeah.
And then we are going to, this time, add a MIDI track.
Okay, MIDI track. Can you explain what is the principle of adding a MIDI track or a MIDI instrument?
The audio, you can either just directly put a sample in, or you can choose the input here and record directly your voice, your guitar, whatever, with the jack. And the MIDI tracks are made for virtual instruments. So we call them VSTs, or they can be called audio units in a in Apple plugins. So this would be any software instrument would go in a MIDI track.
Okay, so this time we're going to use the MIDI instrument that is provided with MiniFuse, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's called Analog Lab V, even if you have Analog Lab Intro, which comes with the MiniFuse. So you can double click or drag it here. And it'll open up the homepage of Analog Lab, see Intro.
Okay.
And we're going to go and pick a sound.
Right, so just to remind people, Analog Lab Intro got all the instruments from the V collection, and it got more than 500 or 600 presets.
It's like 560 in the intro,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. Which is specifically, we chose the best preset from all the V collection.
Yeah,
right?
we chose like a good variety. Yeah.
Cool. So, but if you want to play this instrument, how do? You need like you need something else.
Yeah,
right?
because you can play with you can, if you really don't have a keyboard like a MIDI controller, you can turn on piano here and play. But we have something else that's better.
Yeah. So let's take this one. You know, we do MIDI controllers.
Mm-hmm.
This is the smallest one from Arturia. It's a Microlab, yeah, super cool, portable. I think it's a nice fit with the MiniFuse actually.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, when you have your laptop, you got the MiniFuse, this controller needs USB, and that's where, you know, the USB port at the back of the unit that we can see here is something that, you know, is going to be really useful.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it again to put your iLock if you have dongles, like you're using software that requires a physical dongle. You can put your mouse, you can put your keyboard if necessary, and you can put a MIDI controller, again, within the limitation of a certain power that we cannot go over because it is bus powered. So let's do it. You know, it's straightforward. Just take my controller. I'm gonna plug it here. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think we should be ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, connected. If
no configuration, in fact.
No.
That's direct.
But if ever it doesn't connect, you can go to the audio MIDI settings, which are in live MIDI settings, and find your controller in there. So I'm gonna go back to the sound. Oh, it was marimba, not marimbas. Okay. So I just picked a sound that can become the main theme over the groove that we just built. And I'm going to turn on the metronome so that I play more evenly, and you can choose a count in, which is very useful, especially if you're recording instruments and you have to prepare yourself. Okay. You can put 1 bar, even 2 bars.
Right, so what we're going to do is you're going to play a line, and we're going to record all the MIDI information within Ableton Live Lite through the MiniFuse, actually.
Exactly, yeah.
And so we're going to be able to replay back this, analog lab sound.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's try. So we press record here, and it's going to count 1 bar. And well, I had soloed that, but I could have played it with while listening to it. But when I play it with the rest, and you might hear some notes are a bit early and a bit late. So what we do is you can Control A, or you select everything, and you can right-click to quantize, which means it's going to put it on the grid for the BPM.
So it's a 1 take. You did just 1 take.
1 take, yeah.
Some notes were a bit off in terms of timing.
A little bit,
but you just can synchronize them back.
Yeah,
just 1 click.
And now they should be on the grid.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I can turn this off, the metronome. Yeah. So now we have our main riff, the marimbas, and maybe we can add
something else.
Add something else. Let's add an audio track with an entry in the MiniFuse.
So we got actually a guitar around here. Should we keep that around here for the moment?
Yeah, for the last part.
Let's plug this guitar here. Here you go. To you.
Thank you.
Right. So we're just gonna, again, just to showcase how easy it is and maybe look a bit more into the interface of the product. So let me bring it here. So I'm just going to plug this guitar here. So when I'm using this input here, we have 3 modes. So we can either put a microphone. So microphone will basically, record your voice, record an acoustic instrument, use XLR connector for that. You can record a synth, like a line level. Usually it's synth or drum machine. So we call it line level, which is like basically instrument going through TRS jack like this, but quite a high level, and you can just plug it here and record it. And the last case is, as we're doing here, is recording a pickup from a guitar or a bass. In that case, you need to select this button here. It's with the logo here. It's fairly easy to understand.
It's called often an instrument. It's the instrument toggle.
Yeah, we can see it better here. Yeah. So if I'm just adjusting here, putting on here this instrument selection, what it does, it's because the pickup from a guitar has a low level and also a specific impedance. So basically, it's a specific signal. By pressing this button, I'm just adjusting the preamp to record as well as possible a guitar or bass. So then the next step we want to do is to adjust the level. So what we're going to do, if you play it a little bit here, you can see it's lining up with the audio. So I'm going to set my level, and you can see like once I reach a certain level, it's going to go red. Red means just, hey, you're starting to distort. So what we want to do is to go from, flickering the light, keeping the signal in the blue zone, and we're good. Maybe we can open the MiniFuse control center.
Yeah, that way
also.
we can see directly what's coming in.
So MiniFuse control center, as I told you, is super simple, easy to use software that control the MiniFuse. So here, in that case, you can see when I'm going from instrument back to line inputs, just change is super easy to control. And what we have for each input is like a precise peak meter. So the rule of thumb, I would say, is to aim for peaks around -12 dB.
Then you have the margin. It's not going to saturate.
You have some margin. So if it's playing a bit louder, we'll still safe. And we have a good signal to noise ratio, meaning that the signal is not, blurred within the ambient noise of the room, for example. So I'm going to adjust this, if you can play it a little bit until we get it right, Yeah, that's cool. Like something like that, we're good. Yes, perfect. So now we can go back to Ableton Live, and on our track, we're going to select this input on the audio track. So you already did that. Select input 1. That's it's easy.
And I wanted to add the preamp again before playing, because it's going to make the sound more. It's going to bring it to the front and make it more bright. You can choose then an adapted preset and tweak it a little bit. So I'm going to take acoustic guitar presence, even though it's not an acoustic guitar, but it's the nice EQ. The EQ is made for the guitar. So
nice shine, and we can adjust it also. That raises an interesting point. It's about monitoring. So you see, even if I'm recording live an instrument through the MiniFuse, the latency is low enough so I can even put some processing on the track while recording without any latency, and we will still hear it fine. It's okay. We can record to that. So that's one point. If for any reason, and sometimes like for classical guitar or for a singer, you want to monitor your signal even before going to the computer, so you want really the immediate signal, then it's super easy to do that with the MiniFuse. What you do, let me put it here so it's kind of not too blurry. Yeah, it's okay. So we got this mix knob here, which go from USB to input. And what it does, it's kind of a balance between the signal which is already coming from my workstation. So every track that we already created are playing back on the USB here. And on the other hand, it's the input. So it's a direct signal coming inside the interface. And using this knob really easily, I can do my balance between what I'm playing and what I'm hearing back from the computer. So it enables you to get no latency monitoring. It's super useful. And because we have two inputs, so normally input 1 is panned on the left side, the input 2 is panned on the right side, but because I'm only using one input, I'm going to use direct mono, so my input will be straight at the center. So there's two methods, it depends on how much latency you can deal with depending on the instrument or if you're singing, but the two methods are working fine. Yeah. So let's record that part.
Yeah,
shall we?
I'm just gonna play it back once to see what it sounds like. See before we record, just to play back. So you can do this with the space bar.
Cool.
Let's try. And as you can see here, the cool thing about live is that even though my recording stopped after the 4 bars,
right,
it like intuitively knows that I wanted just a 4-bar loop, so it it makes the loop for you at exactly
okay,
4
so
4.
it's already all set, no editing to do.
Yeah, I didn't
just
have
do
to
one
go
take.
back, and cut it.
Super.
Yeah.
Again, it's all about going fast. Getting fast to just lay down your ideas inside the Ableton and using MiniFuse and whatever source I'm using, be it an input, being a MIDI instrument, being some loops I'm putting in. You get all the tools just to adjust quickly and get the sound super fast.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and then I can also add some reverb and same thing. So it's the same, it's a plate, and you just bring up the A send here.
Yeah.
So you can listen to this without the metronome. Cool. So I'm gonna put this down.
Well done with the guitar.
Yeah.
Cool. So are we done with that track? Or you want to add some stuff? Or
yeah, I mean, you can add up to 8 tracks in Live Light, but here we have, we only have 4, but the guitar almost acts like a bass line. We have our groove, and then the main theme, and you can add more instances of, you have hundreds of sounds in an Analog Lab intro to make like a full production.
Super
just
nice.
With this, yeah.
Super nice. So as you see, what we did here, and thanks to Lily to demonstrate that, we only use what was included with the MiniFuse. I think that's super important. We again, it's not about only getting interface to go in and out. It's super important, and I mean the audio quality of it is not questionable.
Yeah.
But it's about also how to create track fast using the included tool. And if you're a beginner, if you're willing to dig into music production, it's just so easy. It's just so easy and fast.
Yeah.
And is that kind of session I can find elsewhere, or
Yeah, we spent a lot of time to try to really showcase what you can do with this bundle. And so on the website, you can find in the MiniFuse Make Music tab, we have 12 sessions that are made by artists and sound designers, and then we work them over, rework them, and you can find like 12 very different styles of music.
Maybe
like
you can look at them maybe just quickly to the page. I think it's just, you get it here, Get sessions.
Okay, it's here, Get Sessions.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have more coming also.
Yeah.
Next, more acoustic sessions
so
coming.
For us, it was also really important to prove, this fact that using MiniFuse, you can really dig and make music straight out of the box. Also, we thought it would be really interesting on an educational purpose, because these are sound designers working for Arturia across the world in many different music genres. These are pro who has made this session, who kind of, come with this challenge that, okay, I'm going to make a professional track using only the MiniFuse and the MiniFuse software bundle.
They actually said that they really loved the project because it gives, I mean, it's a restriction of having only 8 tracks, but then it makes you get really creative and do the best you can with 8 tracks.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I really believe that it's often that we'll see product where, you know, it's a big pile of included stuff. And when I say stuff, you don't even necessarily know what it's all about. And it might be confusing from someone beginning, but even for experienced user, it's also kind of let down, I feel, because with too many choice, and it's better to have a few fantastic tools than too many average ones, for sure. Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's super cool. I just wanted to also, just as a little conclusion, there's one really important thing that we also went through during the conception of the MiniFuse range is about the audio quality. I mean, the quality of the design, how we capture audio and getting the performances. So again, you know, 110 dB of dynamic range, it's huge for most case. The super low noise preamps, the frequency, you know, linearity is also great. But it's also about, you know, how we build the unit. So it's, I love it. I mean, I love the design. Actually, this comes in 2 colors. You get the white version here, but we also have a black version. But it's also all metal casing. It's super sturdy. It's super, you know, the feel is good on the knobs. It's quality component behind that.
I like the angled knob.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And one thing that we also put into place for although you know it's not an expensive product, but it's important to note that every unit coming out from the factory goes through more than 200 tests. Every unit, and if one of the tests fail, we analyze it and we fix it. You know, sometimes it can happen in a factory. And we also when doing the conception of this interface, put them to test in a lot of different way, like, you know, putting them at a very hot and humid environment, like 55 degrees, and seeing how it was working.
Or testing also the USB.
The USB cable, you know, that's
sturdy
not,
it
you know,
is.
sturdiness, and on the connector, like we go with a special machine testing all connector in and out for 100 and 1,000 of time. Basically, we tested the unit so we could guarantee at least 5 years of full use. And I'm really happy to say that it's a first Arturia product that has a, you know, manufacturer warranty of
like a guarantee.
Yeah, guarantee of 5 years. So all MiniFuse have a 5 years warranty, and for us, it's just a way to signify all the effort we put in, you know, in making the product and making sure it's gonna last. So that's it.
Maybe we have questions.
Yeah, we're gonna answer. Yeah, for sure. If you have question, put it into the comments on the video. Maybe it's if you open this. Yeah, we're gonna see your question coming in. Right. So how does it compare to audio interface on the market? What are the main difference it has? So these are simple products. So in terms of I/O, it's basically the same as other interface for the same price range. Okay, I'm not talking about we do the AudioFuse Studio, which are much more advanced product. But for this easy to use interfaces, I would say the main difference with the competition is the audio quality first. I think we're really on the top of this. We really work hard on this side.
I could tell with the guitar, like there's just no background noise.
Sure. Really clean signal. So it's all about capturing, you know, this pristine sound, whatever the source is. The other difference to me is a small one, but it's an important one, as I show you here with the connecting the microlab to the interface. It's about the hub that we have. So again, this is not a big audio feature, but it's something that it's super useful. It's a little problem solver in a way. Other difference that you will find, especially on the 2-channel version, you got this monitor mix that you don't find on all audio interface. We got also the MIDI I/O. We are Arturia, we are about MIDI instruments, so we have to keep that as well. And also on the MiniFuse 4, we have DC coupled output. So people who want to start also playing around with modular synths and having control over modular synths, they can use a MiniFuse 4 in that prospect. So these are the main, I would say, hardware feature differences. And the other big one for me is a software package.
Yeah.
You won't have any other audio interface manufacturer with this specific, centered software bundle. And because it's Arturia software, most of it is about Arturia, and we're really proud of that. So when you go MiniFuse, you actually go to the Arturia sound, the Arturia synths and FX. So that's something also which makes a huge difference, in my opinion, compared to having a lot of little, different type of FX or instrument.
Because it's like a full presentation to get inside the world of what we do,
Yeah,
like
it's a variety of sound, and it's really getting the Arturia signature here. That's super important.
The next one is, when will they be available in stores?
Yeah, good question. So MiniFuse 1 and 2 will be available in October. So very soon, actually, we are in October. It will be around the 15th for the US and Europe, and probably Asia as well. MiniFuse 4 will come up later in 2022.
Can I plug my iLok key into the USB ports?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. That's a good use. We got all this. I have one at the back here. It's we all have this USB stuff that we don't know what to do. We usually add on different chain of USB hub. The one on the MiniFuse is I think it's useful, especially if you're in a mobile situation. Even just being on your power bank on your computer in the train, for example, just to MiniFuse your iLok, and here you go. You can mess up with sound.
Next one is, can I power assure SM7B enough power gain and noise?
Sure. So as I said earlier, the MiniFuse preamps offer 56 dB of gain. So this is fairly, it's certainly enough for recording vocals through a SM7. These are demanding mic for sure. They need gain, and 56 dB, I think it's enough. On the noise side, it's one of the best interface in this price range for the input, what we call equivalent input noise. So that's the noise that is added by the preamp to any recorded signal. And on the MiniFuse, it's minus 129 dB. So it means that the noise level on the input is so low that even if you record a low-level signal, like the guitar, like the Shure SM7, you won't be blurred, it won't be altered by some electronic noise.
Awesome. Next one is, what is the price?
Yeah, sure. Let's say it again.
I remember it's 99 for the one.
Yeah, 99 for this one.
And I forgot the other two.
So MiniFuse 2 is 149. So I'm talking about dollars or euros. And for the MiniFuse 4, the exact price is not defined yet. We'll see when it will be available. But we are aiming around $229. But this will be subject to a little variation.
I've heard there are software titles included. What can they be helpful for? Software titles.
I really hope that the demonstration today, demonstrate how this software title included were helping you, and how they can help any musician. So just to sum up, We got this exclusive Arturia package with all MiniFuse. So it's Analog Lab intro, which is access to all the V collection, vintage synths, organ, pigments, also very modern sound, more than 500 to 600 presets. We got 4 creative effects and preamp from the FX collection. So the plate reverb, tape delay, chorus, and a channel strip from a famous, the pre-1973, which is a channel strip from a famous console. Alongside that, we also partnership with third-party software developers. So we have Ableton Live Lite, which is your workstation. And
with all their effects and many effects.
Yeah.
Many of their
it's a super product, I think, for starting. It's amazing because there's no, it's what you need when you need to start recording, editing, mixing sound. That's all you need.
You have enough to make an album.
Yeah. And then we have a native instrument, Guitar Rig 6 LE. So this is fantastic for all effects which are guitar related. So I think for me it's the best guitar oriented effect. You get guitar amp emulation, distortion, also modulation effect, other reverbs. It's very powerful. So this is included as a full license as well.
And auto-tune.
Auto-tune, auto-tune. If you're producing vocals, we didn't demonstrate that today, but producing vocals with auto-tune is fantastic. It's either pitch correction, so if you're not, or your singer is not singing that, on the right pitch, you can correct it really easily, but it can also become a very creative effect, and there's a lot of modern production using auto-tune for sure. And the last one is Splice Sound. So you get this free 3-month subscription to Splice. As we showed you earlier, it's so easy to use, and there's thousands of sound and loops just to go into it. And
there's new ones every day.
New one every day from a lot of different producers. And when you combine these loops and sounds with all the effects and the ability of Ableton Live Lite, you can definitely do a lot of things.
What cables come in the box?
So cable here, it's it's a bit blurry. So it's a USB-C to USB Type A cable. So that's the cable that's come up with MiniFuse, all the MiniFuse. And for MiniFuse 4, actually, we will provide a power supply, and because there's more input-output. Actually, the good thing about the power supply that will be included with the unit is that the hub at the back will support much more power. So you can even connect big controllers at the back.
Like a keylab, a big keylab.
Yeah, exactly. So that will be a benefit to that. So yeah, all 3 have a USB-C to USB-A cable, and MiniFuse 4 as an additional power supply.
Could you present us the use of the Loopback function in a creative that's too late?
Yeah, it's a bit too late. Actually, it's super easy. Maybe if you look at the Ableton Live session, if it's still open, just to show that instead of outputting or taking as an input, instead of taking channel 1, you will see there's channel 3 and 4 if we configure them. But yeah, you can see channel 3 and 4. So channel 3 and 4 actually are what we call virtual inputs.
Okay.
So what it means is that if I'm playing a signal from my, let's say, YouTube, I will play it through output 3 and 4. And in my DAW,
but automatically.
And if I want to record it, I will select a track in my, like my Ableton Live Lite, for example, select input 3 and 4, and that will record what's coming through the 3 and 4 output. So it's a bit complicated to say like that, but basically it's a loopback. So what I'm outputting on output 3 and 4 can be recorded as a virtual channel.
So right now, if I put a YouTube video, I play it, and I record
No,
from 3 and 4.
because you need to change the
routing.
The routing, to set up YouTube. Maybe it will be for another demonstration.
Yeah,
but
I'd like to see that.
yeah, sure. It's super practical because if you want to sample some stuff, you see a video, you want to sample it inside your DAW, or if, for example, also you want to use a service like a web-based service to stream audio, to do a podcast, then you can use this
That's
function.
awesome, because you don't have to download it, you know, and then import it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the use of the loopback function. It's true, I completely forgot to mention that one. I apologize.
Okay, can this power the 49 key lab?
No,
Okay,
actually, so MiniFuse 1 and 2, no, it's asking too much power. Basically, any controller, I would say as a rule of thumb, if you don't know how much power your controller is asking for, so we have a limitation on MiniFuse 1 and 2 to 250 milliampere. So that fit, like, for example, the Microlab. We tested it with a bunch. So our support team have a list of all the third-party controller we tested and validated with the MiniFuse 1 and 2 hub. The Keylab 49, it asking too much power. But in fact, you can plug a power supply inside the Keylab 49, and in that case, it should work. One important thing is MiniFuse 4, because it has this possibility to use an external power supply, that will probably support it. Although I'm still waiting to do all the complete test on that one, but that's the goal.
Is the sound interface accelerated, or are the
yes,
the VSTs, they're already part of the FX pack and using the computer's processor?
Yeah. So we all the plugin included use the computer processor. And as you've seen, we were doing live recording, and we put the preamp directly on the track we were recording, so the latency wasn't an issue actually. So I would say it's not, we do not have like in board DSP in it. You are using all the FX and VSTs we're using are using the computer's processor. But with this low latency connection, USB connection, and when you do the right setup into your DAW just to optimize what we call buffer, we didn't go into this technical detail, but we can kind of work on the optimization of your DAW, and in most cases you can avoid the need for a DSP. It works fine integrating VSTs inside the DAW.
I'm interested in the future version MiniFuse 4. How will it be possible to change the volume of output 3 and 4?
So yeah, the inputs, the output 3 and 4 are not controlled by the monitor gain and the front panel. So this monitor here will only affect output 1 and 2. If you want to affect output 3 and 4, you will use the MiniFuse Control Center software, where you will be able to adjust the level for this output. But the monitor output, that's why we call it left and right here, only control 1 and 2.
Yeah, you have access to way more parameters in the control center.
Yeah, and especially for MiniFuse 4, there will be like a digital internal mixer, so you can actually mix your track together for the monitoring purpose. As you see here on MiniFuse 1 and 2, we have dedicated front panel to do the balance between the input and the playback. Because we have more inputs on the MiniFuse 4, this balance will be done within the MiniFuse control center in the software domain, in the digital domain actually.
Okay, I think there's 2 more.
Yeah.
Which converter chips are inside these boards?
So these are based on Cirrus Logic. Okay, these are what we found. We did a lot of tests, and with the AudioFuse range, we tried almost all converter on the market. And Cirrus Logic, it's a famous brand, and the one we put in it, we're presenting the best ratio, I would say, performances against price. So we can keep, a competitive price and with the best conversion possible at this price. But it's been actually a big work for the team when we developed this interface, just to select which were the best converter within this price range.
Could these interfaces be powered by iPad Pro, and do they support iPad?
Yeah, good
OS?
question. So these are bus compliant interfaces, which mean that they are recognized by any type of computer system, including mobile devices. The issue you can encounter with mobile devices is that the devices itself cannot provide, ask too much power, or the mobile devices, let's say, cannot provide enough power for the interface to run. So if that's the case, you can use what we call the camera connector kit, for example, with iOS, and use a power supply, also iPhone power supply or iPad power supply connected to this connector kit. And in that case, it will work fine. On Android, we tested a bunch of phones and tablets. It's working fine. We just found out that with iOS, on certain models of iOS devices, we need to have like the power supply just to come up with help bringing the power for the MiniFuse.
That's it.
Okay, cool. Right, so if there's not any more questions.
No, those were good questions,
It was
especially
good
the last
question.
one.
Yeah. All relevant question. It's true that we took the decision to dig into how to make music fast and to demonstrate that with MiniFuse, really anyone can start making music just with the product out of the box. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you, Lily, for coming along and doing this track. So this is Arturia, this is MiniFuse, MiniFuse 1, MiniFuse 2, MiniFuse 4. They are out now. These are great looking product and great sounding product. I hope you'll enjoy them. And thank you for your attention, and bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.